the Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with Mystic Song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is based on a poem by Swamiji. It's called Somewhere. Someone plays the flute and sings a mystic song that comes sweeping over the mountains by lakes and forests, dancing on ocean waves, playing with shining stars. Somewhere, someone on the wheel of time is singing a sweet song, and in the early dawn, as I listen, I become one with the song. The world fades like morning mist. I have become one. I am We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Puja Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is September the 4th, 2018, Tuesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 70. And now Puja Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanam Murtim Dvandvatītam Gagan Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Utpatti Prakarana, and this is section 83. And rather we correct it, it is 85. Sri Rama wanted to have more clarity about the nature of the word process. Who created it? How is it created? For what reason? So many things. And Vasistha, sage Vasistha, at this stage tells Rama a parable, a story, katha kahani. Called Andavopakhyan, story of the sons of King Indra. Shri Vasistha continued, O Rama, once upon a time I had asked divine Brahma, the creator, about the mystery of creation. He told me the following story. Also the style of the scriptures. The author never tells, I am telling it. He brings a divine source for what he says. He may say, why does he say lie? It's not a lie. All inspiration that comes in your heart, they don't come from your ego. They come from the divine source. So Vedas, where sages have not put their names on the Vedic revelations, though there are names also, but behind all that, Vedas, the sages don't consider themselves as author. They simply are revealers. And it's not difficult to understand. You can't consider Mr. Newton as the author of Newton's laws. He's simply a revealer. Sages play the same part. Brahma said, just as whirlpools arise in the ocean, so worlds arise in the ocean of the mind. It so happened once that I had just awakened from the night of dissolution of the world and was ready to create another world system. Following the allegorical storyline that Brahma creates, and for a whole day he goes on creating and handling the creative activities. But just like every day, everyone goes to sleep and then wakes up next day and continues. Similarly, same allegorical picture is given towards Brahma, because God creates man, but man creates God. Figure that out. When you begin to worship God, you create symbolic images in your mind. And you have no other choice. That's perfectly in order. So, coming to the storyline, Brahma was ready to create the world. But to his surprise, 10 Brahmas on their swans appeared before his eyes. Each one had already created a world system. Brahma, following this story, but to my amazement, I saw before me 10 creators seated on swans, like reflections of myself in a mirror. Each Brahma had already created a world system. And in each world, There were stars that twinkled, oceans that surged, rivers that flowed, a sun that shone, and winds that blew. In each world system there were gods, humans, demons, and other living beings. You can add to it dogs, cats, rats. All the details. The story is giving you a simple insight. Firstly, to understand the world you experience is not a reality. Just like every day when sun rises, the pictures that arise in the horizon, they are the creations of Brahma. And every day the pictures go on changing. And countless spectacles of sunrise, people catch them in their iPhones and show to others, look how the sun shone in from my house, how did I see it shining on the lake? And the child may ask, how many are there, do you know? There is no such thing as how many, because you can't calculate illusion, can't bring illusion into mathematical measurement. So, that's a shocking understanding. The world you experience, the world a person experiences is very little based on the mind. Mind is simply thinking of when was I born, how long can I live, what medicine should I take to prolong my life. So this is the world that everyone works for. But to become a little more interested and with deeper understanding, then you think of, oh, when was the Earth planet created? You go into the bigger study. What happened to the Earth planet? How was it in the beginning? Where it is now? What will happen after some millions of years? And then what will happen to all that science and technology and all the big things, history of human beings? I will not lead you into that jungle. But simply to understand that no matter which way you are thinking about the world, you are thinking through your mind. And first you have to understand your mind is not perfect. The mind is subtle energy operating through your brain and nervous system. Same mental source operating through different people create different experiences, different identities. And no two persons experience the world exactly in the same way. So if you were to put it in a different way, that as many individuals, so many world systems. But nothing to become too stressed about. All world systems are like mirage. They are not realities. And here again you have to understand, your senses become the basis of your concept of reality. Is it real? Can I touch it? Can I see it? Smell it? Oh, yes, I can do all that, then it's real. But this is a kid stuff. Even in the practical world, when you have physical ailments, you suffer a lot, but you don't see where the source is. Then go to a hospital. They see it through X-ray. And then wonder, why didn't your eyes see them? Of course, I'm joking. All that I'm implying, just like for you, your normal vision, you cannot see deeper reality even of your body. How can you see the deeper reality behind the universe? Senses and mind works on the basis of sense perceptions with the concept of time, space, causation. To be gripped by that world that's caused by ignorance, avidya. And your goal is to be fully aware that what expresses through your iPhone, through your ego phone, that's not the reality. And don't be phony. All ego-based attainments, don't let them swell your mind. And then comes the whole process. Become a spiritual aspirant to know who am I? What's the reality behind it? And that's the project of all religions of the world. And Vedanta gives a great emphasis on understanding. So this story is bringing out that point, that there are countless worlds, and as if Brahma himself becomes bewildered by seeing so many swans and so many Brahmas seated on them. Each world system was thickly populated by living beings, and each appeared like a pomegranate fruit containing numerous souls. Pomegranate fruit, where bracket, beautiful red, comes out from the pomegranate. Each red one is very tasty to the tooth. Here we are dealing with a big pomegranate. All souls are grains of the pomegranate. Each world system, there were expressions of time and space, each having its moments, hour, day, month, and year. I continued to gaze for a while, and then by my mental will, I drew the sun god of a nearly world system to myself and said, "O sun god, adorations to you. Please explain your identity to me and tell me about these worlds. How have they been created?" The sun god replied, "O creator, you already know the secret of creation. However, I will comply with your request. Listen to the story of the creation of these world systems." Let's start the Katha Kahani, you see, story within a story. That's entertaining to the mind. That allows you to handle the wisdom that all things are layers of illusion. If you tell it just in the very beginning, the mind will shut out everything else you want to say. So the story is given. The sun god began, O God of gods, in the last world you created, in the valleys of Kailasha mountains, there existed a province known as Swarna-Jata. Literal meaning of Swarna-Jata is golden locks. It's mountains covered with golden snow, shimmering. So a poetic mind said it's golden locks. Swarna-Jata. There lived a Brahmin known as Indra, who was best among the knowers of Brahman. Hindu Brahmana had a loving wife, but he had no children. Desirous of children, both Hindu and his wife practiced intense austerities in order to receive the blessings of Lord Shiva. In course of time, Lord Shiva blessed them with 10 sons. Give you some suspense. These children became well versed in the Vedas when they were only 7 years old. Their parents passed away at that time. Since they were highly advanced spiritually, they became free from the world process. They are talking about the parents. They attained enlightenment. But these 10 sons, they were in the beginning grief-stricken. They conversed among themselves what is really desirable in the world, what's the goal that must be attained. Even the post of Indrahood is perishable and not worth desiring. What then should we work for? The eldest brother said in a convincing voice, I think that the attainment of Brahmahood is the ideal goal worth striving for. Brothers, let us practice meditation and assert deep within our consciousness. He followed the philosophy. As you think, so you become. So you want first determine what you want to become. According to their mental level, becoming Brahma is the greatest thing in the world. Become the creator of you. And now, what's the method? Allow the mind to think of it, nothing else. Focus your mind. I am Brahman. I am Brahma, not Brahman. They all listened to the article of the eldest brother and began to practice intense meditation. Having seated themselves in meditative poses and keeping their bodies as steady as painted pictures. Whenever you hear this type of description, you must realize allegorical. It simply means they adopted a sadhana that was day by day sustained. Never get excited about coming to a stage of putting yourself in a position where you will not get up until you are enlightened. Let it be days, months, or whatsoever. And let the honey hive go all over your body. But in the scriptures you find all this like a normal feature. So you must realize scriptures are not to be taken literally, they are giving an allegorical picture. Now coming to this storyline, each one of them asserted within themselves. If your mind were to develop a conviction, this is what I am. According to your conviction, that becomes your reality. In the beginning, to bring to that stage of conviction, you need repeated practice. To feel miserable, you have to practice day by day. I'm miserable, I'm miserable, I'm miserable. Satsanga tells you, no, not misery, go after something. But say, no, misery. And then comes a conviction. All this is palavras. Where is moksha, liberation? Look at the world. Since when liberation has done any good to the world? So that becomes your reality. Another way around. You develop a positive understanding. I'm not this physical body, I'm the soul. Just like in a bucket, there is water, there is bucket, there are fishes. But what highlights the whole bucket? The reflected sun. And the reflected sun, no matter how much it may shake, the reality behind it is the sun. Every individual is like a reflected sun in a world of body, mind, senses. And when that understanding enters and you practice it, this positive movement, I am the sun. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. I'm Satchidananda. I'm positive. God is within me. If that becomes your daily practice, day by day, without not being discouraged by the challenges that come in your life, handling them with faith. Wait and watch, but don't lose your faith. Then the mind comes to a state of profound conviction. That conviction is of a totally different nature. When you develop a negative conviction, it is not real. So your soul never agrees with it. When you have positive conviction, the soul agrees with it. It's the reality. And that's a good news. So negative karmas cannot keep the soul in a state of bondage. The soul is always fluttering to get out of it. So I was explaining what the description of practicing intense austerity. What does it mean? It means sustained thinking, whether it is positive or negative, irrespective of so many different situations that you face in your life. People stay miserable in spite of the fact so many wonderful things have happened in their life. Unshaken by them. Look at their austerity. Brahma has no choice but to give the boon. Brahma's boon is the reality develops as a result of constantly thinking in the same line. That becomes your reality. Likewise, thinking in a positive manner, that's where the spiritual change occurs in your life. So these sons of Hindu passed into a state of profound samadhi which lasted for a long, long time, simply implying their focus on I am Brahma, the creator, continued in spite of all challenging situations. The sun god, who is telling this story to Brahma, he said, O adorable Brahma, the sons of Hindu Brahmana remained immersed in samadhi until their bodies, due to the ravages caused by the sun and wind, perished. Also, you have to understand, if you have started a movement in your life, your life doesn't end with the body. The soul in you continues from one body to another. So even though your physical body perishes, what you have achieved by your sadhana, that does not perish, positively or negatively. What you have created by your karma continues with you. Nobody is born with a clean slate. Everyone is born in the process of creating many karmas. You come already. If you have learned music in the previous birth, you come already with the music talent. You don't like music, mathematics, or whatever talent, come with it. But if you have gone in a negative way, you come with the negative traits also. Despite the loss of their bodies, the sons of Hindu continued to maintain their mental awareness. Each of them felt he was Brahma, the creator. Even during the dissolution of the world to which they belonged, they were busy with the creation of their mentally projected worlds. That's the reason, O Creator, Sun God is saying to Brahma, why you found these world systems even before you had commenced your own work of creation. I happen to be a Sun God in one of these systems. This is the mystery behind these 10 worlds and their creators. You know the mystery of creation. You have honored me by asking me to explain this phenomenon to you. Indeed, all these worlds exist as illusions in the vast expansion of the chitta. Chitta is the mind. Here mind is referring to the absolute mind, cosmic mind. Every human mind relates to cosmic mind. Just like cosmic mind is like the ocean. Every individual mind is a wave in that ocean. Therefore, every individual mind has the potentiality to commune with the cosmic mind, and thereby to commune with other waves. Brahma complained, since all of you 10 creators are already there. I'm going to retire. He didn't say retire, but I'm using. Since these worlds have already been created, what need have I to resume my work of creation? To this the sun god responded, O Lord, you are free of all desires. You create worlds in the spirit of sport. The creation proceeds from you as spontaneously as rays proceeding from the sun. O great Lord, you have nothing to gain by your act of creation, and you have nothing to lose by not performing your duty. However, wise men continue to perform their duties. Their minds are like placid mirrors and are never affected by the reflections cast in them. In the same way, even the most dynamic work of creation will not tinge the placidity of your mind. What you are being led to understand, that cosmic mind, God, creates this whole world. But that creation has no exertion on the part of the cosmic self. Difficult to understand? Look at the sun. Sun creates all illuminations, and sun has no stress about it. Sun doesn't even know they're creating so many things. The worlds created by the sons of Indra exist in their minds. These worlds will not contradict the world that you are going to create. The minds of human beings evolve their illusory worlds on the basis of deep convictions. If one has evolved a world within his mind, he alone will be able to dissolve it. That's the big point. What you build up through your way of thinking, acting, action, that cannot be taken away from you by somebody else. You work, say for example, you work to promote certain virtue and work for a whole month and the butter of virtue is coming to your mind and suddenly there comes a cat, snatches away the butter. I'm joking. Do not develop the idea that you are helpless and the world around you is always snatching what you gain. Spiritual movement is your attainment. Your ignorance can be removed by you alone, nobody else. Others helping you again according to your karma. You want to be helped, therefore you come to satsanga. And ultimately it is you. Say for a very simple illustration, you are hungry, very hungry. The friend says, don't worry, I'm going to eat for you. Just tell me the most delicious thing you want to eat. And you don't have to go at all. I will take your car. How ridiculous it seems. Similarly, doing your sadhana, attaining liberation, is like being hungry, enjoying the food, receiving the nourishment and becoming strong. And that nobody else can do that for you. The works performed by the senses are perishable, but the works created by deep-rooted mental convictions cannot be destroyed until the very same mind wills their destruction. At this stage, let me give you a philosophical understanding. Several points. First point, thought waves in your mind. Thought waves, so many thoughts always arise and fall. But led by your karmic process, led by your urge to do self-effort, your ego picks up some of those thought waves and gives them the form of desire. Before you desire, you have been helped by simple little waves within your mind, thought waves. Then it, led by your ego, thought waves turn into desires. And desires turn into, if your desire is being permitted by your buddhi, intellect, that it is good, then it turns to trishna. Becomes intense desire called craving. Now you want to have the desire fulfilled. Stop all other works. This particular thing has to be done. Trishna leads you to become involved in various projects, karmas. Karmas bring about their results. Results can be pleasure or pain, fruits of karma. And whatever you are experiencing as a result of your karma goes into your unconscious as a record, samskaras. So, as from those samskaras, some samskaras sprout and come towards your conscious mind. They are called vasanas. Now as those vasanas coming to your conscious mind, first stage, they are just little waves, vrittis. Cycle goes on and on. And the key to breaking the cycle lies in your intellect. Intellect has to save itself, not to be dominated by ego. Rather, intellect and ego must make a relationship of advanced type. That is to say, the advanced relation means if intellect has come to understand this is wrong, ego should not push the mental process. Then the ego is not upsetting. But on the other hand, what happens? You are not controlled. Ego is the one that succeeds. Intellect says it's wrong. Be careful. You are going after a bad association. But ego says, I have made up my mind. Who are you? Do you think I'm stupid? So that's ego-intellect relation. One's identity is the product of the long-sustained concepts of his mind, led by this type of cycle, what type of vritti, what type of desire, what type of craving, all this bring about your sense of your identity. And that identity becomes your reality unless one changes his erroneous concepts. All efforts to bring about enlightenment would be as vain as nourishing rocks with water. In other words, if you are trying to attain enlightenment without changing your mental structure, without going into the whole process of changing your thought waves and allowing your acharan, your conduct, daily conduct to become more and more in line with integral yoga. I won't go into too much in detail, just be good and do good. Unless you bring that mantra within your life, nobody can save you. Simple message behind it. It is you who have caused your bondage, and you will attain liberation. If you don't think it clearly, then it seems like a very bad news. But to think clearly and realize it has given you much dignity, that you are not living like a little rabbit. You have a lion within. In the next section, section 89, the sun god continued, O Lord, it is the mind that creates this world. It is the mind which is Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic source of creation. Actions performed by the mind are real actions, while actions performed by the body are of little value. Mind is the one that gives value to all your activities. You can make the same food, serve a person the same way, but the mental attitude is different in your mind. Then all the external, what you did, may be very qualitative. You might have put a lot of good ghee and butter and all that. You made it very rich food externally. But what I'm implying, that all that you have done, but from a subtler point of view, you have not really brought the warmth of love, warmth of human relation, human love, divine love, whichever. That warmth is not dependent upon your external show. If the mind sustains the notion, I am a miserable person, then one continues to wander through repeated cycles of birth and death. Of course, nobody sustains that notion, but unwittingly you go on blaming someone or yourself, or you keep your mind in darkness, always in a state of contradiction. You don't enjoy anything, it's in a simple way. If it rains, you complain against it. If it doesn't rain, it hasn't rained for a long time. What will happen to my garden? And so forth. If the mind were to assert, I am the self, not this petty body, then one would attain liberation. This quickly said, but it implies that if you turn towards recognizing who am I and developing love of God, that takes its own stages. Now listen to the story of Indra and Ahalya to illustrate this point. See, Katha Kahani goes on, story after story. Naturally, you want to know which Indra, which Ahalya. Once upon a time, there lived a king, Indra. His wife Ahalya was the very personification of beauty and loveliness. In the same royal city, you must not be confused by the names. This is not Ahalya of the scriptures and Indra. Indra and Ahalya, both names have come in scriptures. How Ahalya was tempted by Indra, and all that story comes in Ramayana. But here those names don't refer to the original sources. So the story is that King Indra had a wife, Ahalya. And Ahalya fell in love with a young Brahmin whose name was Indra. And this relationship became intensified because of their story they had learned about how Indra and Ahalya related themselves. Ahalya had read the ancient story of Indra and Ahalya in the scriptures. How Ahalya, the wife of sage Gautama, had become enamored with Indra, the lord of the gods. This story had colored her mind. Therefore, she developed amorous feelings towards the young Brahmin Indra, who reciprocated the queen with his tender sentiments. Soon Indra, who is a Brahmin youth, and Ahalya, the queen, became infatuated with each other. The queen's mind delighted in thinking of Indra, not a celestial one, her lover. While Indra in turn kept his mind immersed in the thought of Ahalya. This passionate love became so intense that the queen became oblivious of her external restraints. King Indra, that's the husband, came to know of this affair and consequently threw them both in icy waters. But seeing each other, thinking of each other, they didn't even perceive the harshness of the water. It's old-time description. Two are extremely in love, no matter what difficulty or challenge you give to them. Those challenges they don't even recognize. That's taken in a practical way, but to make the story more hair-raising. Also, to understand, when mind is deeply becomes involved, positively or negatively, there comes an endurance that is of miraculous nature. And this, in a positive side, same story comes with Prahlad. He loves God, and the father puts him into so many turmoil. But even though he is put into icy waters, he thinks of the warmth of Krishna. He is put into fire and he has a cool protection. But while this story of Prahlad is of positive nature, here is a portrayal of mind moving towards moha, of a negative nature. Sometimes to understand the power of positive, try to understand the power of negative. Negative is easy to see, positive is a little difficult to find. The moral is, the power is, whether positive or negative, if you sustain it, it becomes exceedingly powerful. Abhyasa brings strength, amazing strength. They were thrown into a blazing pit of fire, but they emerged unharmed. They were whipped and trampled upon under the feet of elephants, but they didn't perish. Moha-based attachment cannot be crushed down. That's the moral behind it. See. Nobody can push the delusion of another person's mind. When the king asked the Brahmin youth, what sustained him? The youth replied, O king, my mind has assumed the form of Ahalya, while Ahalya has assumed my form. Our minds are so deeply detached from our bodies that we cannot be destroyed. We are giving all this torture to body, but we are mentally in love. O king, I see my beloved in all directions. Therefore, my mind is ever immersed in joy. In the same way, the mind of Queen Ahalya perceives me in all directions. This is a story of moha. This is not a positive thing to pursue. Therefore, O king, you will not be able to destroy us by any physical means. Then the king, feeling that the evildoers should not go unpunished, requested sage Bharata to destroy them. This is a priest. Bharata, he is not an enlightened sage. He is a person holding siddhi powers. Now the king adopts the method of punishment, amazing punishment from a psychic power of a great yogi. And the storyline is showing even that power didn't help. Then Indra and Ahalya both said, O sage, you as well as the king are both dull-witted. You have lost the merit of your austerities by pronouncing this curse. Because that's what the priest Bharata did. He pronounced a curse to destroy their bodies. Bodies are going to burnt up to ashes. And before they are burnt up, they said, both of you are dull wits. We are burnt by our bodies, but we are not burnt. We are minds. It is true that now our bodies will be destroyed, but we are not bodies. We will continue to love each other through our minds. Then, O Creator, their bodies fell down like falling trees, but they continue to wander with their astral bodies. As a result of their infatuation, they became a dear couple. in the forest. After reveling in the pleasures of the deer embodiment, they became birds. They continued to wander through numerous embodiments until they became a Brahmin couple devoted to austerities. But still, they didn't go on a right course. They continue to incarnate in different embodiments. And in each embodiment, they are united with each other. That's the ugly picture. This is not the goal. But the lesson behind it, that type of love should be for God. And then that love will not be destroyed by any force of the world, because you have created it by your sustained practice of love, sustained understanding. God is the source of love. And you have come to that type of profound relationship with God. Then nothing in the world can break it. जाको राखे साइयां मार ही नहीं सकी हैं कोई. Once you are related with God, no, nothing in the world can hurt you. बाल न बाका कर सके जो जग बैरी होए. If the entire world became angry and come with all their powers, guns and bombs, बाल न बाका कर सके. They can't touch you even in a tiny aspect. Even a hair of yours will not be touched by them. That's all these statements to understand the power of mind. And with this I'm going to conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
If anyone has a question, please raise your hand.
Yourself.
What's the difference between Brahma and Brahma?
Brahma is creator. Brahman is the absolute. If we study, must understand, absolute self is called Brahman. Since creation is Maya, you see, it is not reality. Brahman, by his magical power, known as Maya, plays three roles. Brahman, through Maya, plays the role of Brahma, creating the world, Vishnu, sustaining the world, Shiva, destroying it. All these three functions, they are in the realm of Maya, means illusion, like a magic. Brahman is completely beyond this magic. But when he enters into the realm of magic, plays three roles. There, we use the term Brahma. That's the difference between Brahman and Brahma. That Brahma is only a creator. But Brahman himself is playing the role. And one who sustains the world is called Vishnu. And one who destroys it is called Shiva. But all the three are one and the same, seen through Maya, illusion. And that's not the only story. Now the whole world of multiplicity that everyone experiences is due to through your mind. All your experiences are not reality. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is the soul Brahman, is it one situated as many, or is it many individual souls?
There is one sun, there are many reflections. How many suns are there? Same way. God is one. As many minds, so many souls. Minds are like water. In each mind, there comes a sense of identity. This is me. That identity is like a reflected sun called jiva, individual soul. So souls are countless. There is no mathematical number. Sun is one. But how many reflections the sun has? That you can't count. Souls are like reflections. Now figure out the mathematics.
So a quick reminder, this Sunday, September 9th, we will be celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi. We're going to try to start earlier. It'll be a festivity, celebrating the power and the majesty of Lord Sri Ganesha, and Swamiji will enlighten us about that. And then we'll have a delicious feast. So we'll try to start at 5 so we can finish earlier. So try to be here and be comfortable by 5 p.m. Also, a month from now, we'll be beginning the 10 days of Navaratri Puja, starting on October 4th on a Friday, October 5th, sorry, and ending on Sunday, October 14th. So try to investigate your schedule and see, try to plan ahead how many days you can attend. Hopefully all 10. We'll be starting at 7 p.m. for the first 9 nights, and the last night, on the 14th, the Vijayadashmi festivity will be starting at 5. Once you have your plans clear, then you can register with Bhavana or Radhika or Yogesh at the reception area. And pre-registration helps us know how many people will be coming for that special time. Remember that during those 10 days, the normal class schedule will not be in effect. We'll just be concentrating entirely on Navaratri Puja, on Mother Worship for those 10 nights. And as soon as the Kumkum, it's here. Time to come for Kumkum blessing.